Hey everybody, this is X-Ray. And we adopted X-Ray. As you can tell, he has 3 legs. And he is looking for my wife right now because he loves my wife. So, gonna be a companion for Jazzy. He got hit by a car and they couldn't save his leg. So, I'll be sharing the adventures of him coming up. So after running the 4 trains, these are the cars in the yard that we're going to use to build the Oak Hill interchange train and the Douglas Avenue jobs. So with a couple of exceptions, which I'll talk about here. So I have too many clay hoppers, or 70-ton hoppers. So I'm going to give my friend Fran these 4 right here, because he has a cement plant and needs some, they could use some cement hoppers. So I took those out of my car roster. A couple of these should be in the yard, and I just removed them from the yard. So when I go to build the Oak Hill train, there's only one 70-ton hopper in there. So Cedar Heights Clay is only going to get one covered hopper this time, but that's okay. So let me show you what the computer says. This is what the computer says is in the Chillicothe yard, but it doesn't reflect. This is because I haven't terminated the trains. These are the trains that were in the yard, and they left the yard on these trains over here. The NW interchange, C&O interchange, the B&O West to B&O East. So those cars are all back in the boxes now. These ones with the no destination, they're still sitting in the yard. You know, they didn't go anywhere. So there, I put them at the end of the tracks for this one. So they're still sitting in the yard. So I'm going to go and I'm going to terminate the trains now. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And then we'll see, populate the placer yard with what's actually in the yard right now. So the top 4 trains have all been ran. So now I'm going to take my mouse, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to terminate them. Oh, I couldn't see it because of the camera. It always asks you to be sure that you want to do it. All right, so now the cars that I just showed you in the Chillicothe yard should show up when I go to cars, click on locations to sort them. So now if I go down to the Chillicothe yard, those cars are there in the Chillicothe yard right now. So that's how we will build now the Oak Hill interchange train. If you see, I'll scroll up a little bit. So those cars right there, it says B&O OHI interchange, they're sitting in Oak Hill. I'll show you those just a second. Waiting to be picked up by that train. So now we're going to build the train, and we'll show you how I'm going to do that. And in this video, the yard switcher is actually going to sort the cars out, build the Oak Hill interchange train. So let's go back to trains. So from the trains menu, I'm going to click on build. And now I'm going to go up and I'm going to click, well, I'm just going to click on preview. All right, so the cars that I'm picking up in Oak Hill, they're on the interchange. I just showed you the picture of her right here. These are the cars I'm going to take from the Chillicothe yard to replace those cars. Like I said, I only have one covered hopper, clay, Grand Trunk Western. So I'm going to take it, gondola for Terminating scrap, and 3 box cars. I'm not sure where they're going to go yet. I will know that when I build the OHI switch job off of these 5 cars, which will be the next train that we run. So now the yard switcher is going to build that train, and so enough talking for this video. Let's do some switching. So I'm not going to use the colored dots again. That was just the first time I did it to help you guys. If you guys like that, it doesn't bother me to do it. Give me some feedback in the comments, and I mean, I could do it every time. But let me just show you the cars I'm going to pick up. I've got 5 cars on 3 tracks. So I've got to pick up this Grand Trunk Western clay hopper. Here's the gondola. It's going to go to Terminating scrap. And I need this SP box car. Conrail box car here, and the Grand Trunk box car here. And again, since we're just giving them to another company, I'm not blocking them. I'm just going to do the most logical way for the switcher to do their job. It's up to the OHI crew to sort them out however they need to go. So since the switcher is already on track 4, I'm just going to get the car from track 3, then track 2, then track 1 in that order. Let's go ahead and get that Grand Trunk Western car. Let's dig it out. All right, I'm going to narrate the rest of this sitting out on the Garden Railroad. It's Monday evening, about 8:15, and it's 85 degrees. It was a hot one today. Well, here comes Ferdinand, so I have to shut the gate because I don't want him in here. But I think he wants to go in the house anyhow. Come on, buddy. Come on. Well, maybe not. He just wants to be mouthy. So there's some limitations. Number one, obviously I have a single-ended yard, so makes switching a little bit more complicated. But also, NW2 is not that great of a puller, especially since we added the sound. So the real railroads might actually not, they'd probably pull more than 1 track at a time. I don't think I have the capability of doing that. So what you're going to see me do, put the Grand Trunk Western car on the passing track, then return the other cars back to the track they were on, and just do that like 1 move at a time until I build the train. You probably hear Ferdinand. He's mad because I put the chicken wire on the Garden Railroad so he can't get in and use the bathroom anymore. So, he's just going to lay there and be mouthy. You may be wondering why I pushed the Grand Trunk Western so far down the passing siding. I could have just dropped it off as soon as it, cleared the yard lead. Well, every car, when it's sitting by itself, has its brakes set on it. If there's 2 cars sitting there coupled together, maybe only one of them has their brakes set. But they're all locked somehow. So if I would have dropped the car off as soon as I got on the passing siding, the brakeman would have had to set the brakes. And as soon as I got the next car, I'd had to unlock the brakes to push it down a little bit farther. So I just pushed it down far enough to where we can build the whole train and not have to move that Grand Trunk boxcar. really dried out here over the past 10 days or so. We haven't had any rain at my house. Though 3 or 4 miles away, they've had nice thunderstorms. So if it doesn't change here soon, I may actually have to water my grass a little bit, which is unusual in June. About 2008 or so, we had a real dry summer and actually lost my front yard. Had to have it resodded, or reseeded, I should say, aerated and reseeded. All right, so now we're going to pull the next track, and we need that green Conrail boxcar that's buried down in there. So I showed you how I built this train on JMRI. When I get done building this train in real life, I'm going to build the Douglas Avenue jobs on the computer. Because the reason why I need to do that is when I run this train through Oak Hill and back, I need to terminate it, which tells the Oak Hill job that there are 5 new cars sitting there for them to be delivered. If I did all that before I built the Douglas Avenue trains, then JMRI would consider those cars that I just brought back from Oak Hill to be fair game to deliver to Douglas Avenue, and I don't want that. So as long as I keep the order straight in my head, I should be okay. But we're learning together. It's the first time we've tried this. I think I said in a previous video that the off spots were not working for some reason. And I said Gene reached out, showed me some stuff on his, but Pete was able to figure it out. But the best way to do it was to split the Douglas Avenue jobs into 2 jobs. Basically, the facing point spurs and the trailing point spurs, which I was doing anyhow in my head, running it as 2 trains. And now it's formally 2 separate trains, and the off spots started working. So you'll see them back again. Something that I didn't consider this time, but I will the next time I do this, is since I will have all 3 trains built, I can actually sort of plan my moves ahead and start building the Douglas Avenue trains at the same time I'm building the Oak Hill train. I think a real switch crew would probably try to do that. They're a lot smarter than I am. And they do it every day, so they could probably figure out a way to do it. Might minimize the amount of moves they have to do. For example, that General Chemical covered hopper I just moved, I can almost guarantee is going to be coupled to that white tank car you see in the background. And that's something that they could do if the opportunity arose. Right. So now we're going to the next track, and it has the Grand Trunk clay hopper and the gondola for Terminating scrap. And there's also a boxcar down there we need to take, Southern Pacific boxcar. So we're going to pull the 5 cars. I think we're pulling 5, and we'll shuffle them around, get them onto the Oak Hill train. So now we have to put that tank car back onto another track. You can tell I cut out a few moves where the train disappeared out of sight. So after we put the DT9 gon and the Grand Trunk clay hopper on there, all we're going to have to do is tack a caboose onto the end, get the GP7 out of the servicing tracks, and we can head to Oak Hill. All right, stay safe. But wait, there's more. I have a surprise for you. Yep, we got an Alco C420 high hood used for the Annadocia interchange train with sound installed by my friend Benjamin Horn. It's waiting to get permission to go into the yard. So you'll be seeing a lot more of this in the future, maybe even running a no-kill. Everybody stay safe.